this is Sally again, and today I'm speaking with Harry Armytage. Harry is based in Canberra. How are you, Harry?
I'm good, Sally. Good to talk.
Yeah, likewise. So today we thought we'd chat about bullying. So why is bullying such a topical issue?
Well, last week there was a lovely girl who used to be the face of a Cooper Hats who committed suicide. She was 14. She was called Dolly, and it was tragic. It got a lot of media coverage, and it got me thinking, well, this is a topic we should be talking about. It's something that I see, very, very commonly. Youth suicide is
Yes.
at a peak, highest in 10 years. The female rate, 15 to 19, has doubled since 2005.
No.
Amazingly, half of females 16 to 17 report they've self-harmed. 50% of girls 16 to 17 report they've self-harmed.
Are you kidding me?
It's a massive issue.
Whoa.
Really,
and that's girls.
that's girls.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's frightening. That's really frightening.
It is. So parents are sleeping in bedrooms. They're scared, they're concerned, they don't know what to do, they don't have the tools, and it's out of control.
It is out of control. It literally is out of control. Whoa, it's just frightening. I've got a 16-year-old, and it's like, are you kidding me? Goodness me. So where do you find this bullying is occurring?
I have kids, and there was bullying that affected their lives at school. And I experienced bullying at school briefly, and then I sorted that out. But it's very impactful when you get bullied. It kind of destroys the day, or the week, or the term, or the year. It's really harmful. So in the 15 years I've been in practice, I would say I see it every week.
Are you kidding me? Every week?
Every week. And I see it in the kids. Yeah. I see it in the parents. I see it in friends who work in the public service. The public service is full of bullying. Schools are full of bullying. Now, in the public schools, it's fisticuffs. And I actually think that's easier to deal with. In the private schools, it's much more subtle. It's all words and looks and body language. But both can be really nasty. And of course, the other place it occurs is at home.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't had, well, if I'm really honest, sometimes I've been a bit of a bully, but it's not part of my nature really. But in many marriages, it's the cause of divorce. It's the cause of children leaving home, running away from home, kids on the street. Why are they there? They're not there from choice. They're there because they were probably bullied.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Oh, it's frightening. It's frightening. I mean, I see it at the schools. I mean, my son was bullied. He was wetting the bed non-stop, and we couldn't work it out. And then in the end, they're actually too scared to come out. And it's so sad when they're, like 7 or 8 and don't know how to deal with it. And it really is an issue. And, all the schools are saying they have zero tolerance, but it still goes on. I mean, social media, look, that's how we started this conversation. It's subtle, as you say. It's not in your face. It's almost passive aggressive, putting the knife in, and then, and kids are processing stuff themselves. They're still being kids. They're learning to be adults, and they're going through so many different waves of emotions and hormones and whatever, and then trying to find their own feet and find their own identity. And so it just makes it a lot harder when they're getting these other pressures and negativity coming at them. Very difficult.
So I'd just like to pick up on one thing you said, Sally, because I really disagree. I don't think schools have a zero tolerance policy.
Right.
I think they have no idea how to manage it.
Yeah.
What I see in the kids that come to me, and, I target kids with learning difficulties or kids who are underperforming, but they're often bright and they're often sensitive. And when they get bullied, guess who gets into trouble? They get into trouble. Because if they respond being less aggressive, they're going to have fewer tools to justify what they've done. And often it's, in my experience, often it's the bullied kid that gets into trouble at school, not the bully.
Yeah.
And I also see, dozens and dozens and dozens of examples where the teacher has absolutely no tools to cope with the bully. They're scared of the bully, goes up to the head, and then, nothing much changes. And the solution that many of the kids that I deal with, their solution is to change school because the school doesn't do it.
Yep. You're actually spot on. And yes, you're right, because as you say, it does happen and the schools don't know how to deal with it. But every school my kid at, it's been 3 different schools, they say they have a zero tolerance. As I said, I've already had one son who was bullied, and I've known a number of kids who have left school because of it. And you're right, nobody, well, the teachers or the system isn't able to deal with it effectively and knock it on its head at the time. And, in my example, the school sorted it out between the 2 boys, but kept the parents out of it. They said it's got nothing to do with the parents. And I said, hang on a minute. And I literally had to go to the parents of the other kids, who ended up being friends of mine anyway. But, I thought schools not taking the responsibility that they really need to do and have effective strategies in place, I suppose, with coping with it. Whoa. So what do you think we can do about it?
Look, it's really difficult. If I can just go. I mean, I think bullies are created at home. Bullies are created because they're bullied. Bullies are created because they have low self-esteem. They learn the behaviour at home. They have to learn it somewhere. They're going to learn it at home. I mean, the other way they can learn it is on social media. And Harvard is really concerned about this, as is the Boston Children's Hospital. And Boston Children's is one of the top 2 children's hospitals in the world. The other one is Royal Melbourne. And they're talking about this youth addiction to smartphones as a public health crisis.
Whoa. Well, yeah, I can see where it's going. Did you say the Royal Melbourne was one of them?
Yeah, Children's Hospital in Melbourne. When I used to do executive interviews, had the lowest complication rate of surgery, and they were followed by Boston's Children. Yeah, we have really good hospitals here. World class.
Yeah, I mean, how does Australia compare to the rest of the world with bullying, do you think?
Well, I don't think we do very well. And I think there was a period, and this is probably a bit controversial, there was a period when Bush was the president of the US and Howard was our prime minister. And they both bullied. And I think when you have the head of state who bullies, that sets the tone. And we now have bullies, in power in the US and in Russia. We think Putin and Trump. And if you have a role model at the top of society who bullies, that gives permission to all those people who would like to bully to do more of it. So I think it's awesome now that we've got a prime minister who is anti-bullying. But I think that needs to be consistent. The message needs to be consistent. The other thing that, the research suggests that causes bullying is a lack of attention at home. So we have all these helicopter parents and quality time, all this rubbish. Everybody's too busy, they don't see their kids. And kids with low esteem bully. So, it's complex, it's multi-dimensional, but primarily bullies, I believe, are created at home. And that's why, getting back to your point, the school needs to involve the parents, because the odds are that one of those parents is going to be a bully.
Yeah. Whoa. And the more you're saying that, the more it's resonating. And I'm thinking of the bullying incidents I've had over the 3 different schools, and I look at the parents from of the bullies, and 110%. You know, there's I know a number of cases firsthand where you could say that, and the self-esteem is another one as well. You know. The pressure on kids to measure up, though, one kid I'm thinking of, he had so much pressure to perform, not just academically, it was on the sporting field, to measure up to an older sibling, you know, and, you know, everybody's different and different personalities. So you might have a shining light child, and then the second one doesn't perform down the same line. And this kid, the pressure got to him too much, and he was like a massive, very well-connected parents, doesn't matter, you know.
No, and in fact, it's often harder because they've got higher standards, and they put more pressure on the kids. And we've all seen those cases where parents watching footy matches start brawling amongst themselves and screaming at the kids. They have to be restrained.
Or the dance mums, you know, putting the pressure on all the kids.
Yeah, that's right.
It is. You know, we really have to. It's not easy being a parent. You have to be accountable for a number of things. We don't bring kids into the world and then say, see you later, I'm too busy. We actually have to be accountable and own it that we're having children. And, you know, I often have to stop and think and go, you know, what's really important at the end of the day? And it's the quality of time with the kids, and they grow up and change so quickly that we really need to be investing a lot more time and effort with their own kids. I mean, I know I do. And I try, but it's, you know, stopping and going, hang on, getting that awareness of like, oh no, what am I doing? Get back and get more grounded and refocus on it.
You're awesome, Sally.
No, I'm not. You know, I'm just I'm no angel, and I'm no perfect parent by any stretch. But you know, as I'm discussing more and more issues to do with children, particularly with yourself, I think, oh my goodness, there's so much that I could have done, and it's never too late. It's never too late to stop and get in touch. And when you throw those stats at me about the bullying rates, and then kids that are self-harming at such a young age, and as I said, they're learning to become young adults, and they're dealing with all this other negativity around them and pressure. Whoa, it's, you know, it's very difficult, and it's a world of stress that we're bringing our kids into, and a world where they're having to learn how to cope at a much younger age than we did. Just circumstances, particularly with the 24/7 online world and the social media, and you know, you can't just put a kid to bed because they could easily be on there for 2 hours. And you know, I think a lot of the damage is done at night time, you know, behind closed doors when we don't know what's going on, and you know, the social media goes rife.
So there's a phrase you may have heard of called sleep hygiene. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay, sleep hygiene is a framework that helps you manage what is and isn't in the bedroom.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's becoming.
And screens of any sort should be out of the bedroom. TVs, smartphones. Any screen should be out of the bedroom.
Yeah.
I mean, bedroom is for sleeping, and so, you know, if they want to be on their phones and so on, they should not be in the bedroom. There's a whole lot of reasons why not. I mean, they emit radiation.
Exactly.
Yeah, good.
It's really very, very hard to implement, and I can say that firsthand. I've got 4 kids. By the time I go from one, they've hidden something somewhere else. It's very, very, very difficult to police, and you know, you've got to be cruel to be kind, but also I'm struggling. I really am struggling with doing it.
Well, educate them about the risks of exposure to radiation. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And also, you know, celebrate what the bedroom's for. It's for sleep.
Yeah.
And if they want to do social media on the phone, go into the public areas in the house.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to make sure the kids watch this interview for starters, because you know, years ago, before we even had this added-on technology, I had all the radiation levels done throughout the house. It's got to be at least 20 years ago, and back then the TV on standby was emitting 500 or something, and at the time the acceptable level was maybe 8 or 10. The clock radio in the bed was emitting 11, and that's and the radiation you get from the the other side of the wall. So the TV, the living room might be on the other side, but the radiation that comes through. So if your bedroom's, you know, backing onto a TV room or something, that's coming through the wall. And it's stuff that we've just forgotten about or haven't known about. And now that you're adding on not just your TV, you've got, and clock radios don't really happen anymore, but you've got your phones, you've got your iPads, you've got your laptop. If you went around with the things on standby in your room, it would just be glowing at night time. And you think, how do you sleep effectively through that? How does it not wire you? I know that the schools try to implement, you know, half an hour before you go to bed to have that wind down time, because otherwise you're going with this wired brain and like, what sort of quality sleep are you going to have? What's happening to your body?
And, you know, one of the bigger issues is what's the impact on the immature nervous systems? We don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's all.
But one of the things I've done is I went down to Bunnings and got a $10 timer switch, and I turn off the Wi-Fi at 11 o'clock at night and turn it on at 7 in the morning.
Yeah, good idea.
So it shuts it down for the whole house.
Yeah, clever boy. That's what you can do that. And did you say Bunnings, my second favourite store? That's hilarious.
Bunnings, yeah. Go there on Saturday and get a sausage as well.
Yeah. Just the smell is enough to put me off. But yeah, I know people that literally go to Bunnings just for the sausage and then go and buy the chlorine or whatever else they need for the house. So hilarious. Now, but coming back
so I'd just like to cover a couple of other areas. I mean, I live in a public service town. And the number of people that I know work in the public service, a large number. Yep. And they've all got a story about bullying.
Yeah.
And the managers in the public service don't know how to deal with bullies, because bullies are often quite productive. They seem to be productive. Yep. So almost always the strategy is when there's a bully, when there's enough complaints, they don't sack the bully, they move them to another department.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They just move them. It's a bit like, you know, what the church does with their priests. It's the same pattern, same strategy.
Yeah, they turn a blind eye, just get the ones that cause trouble out of the way so they don't have to face it every day. I know, it's easier. Jeez. Yeah.
And, you know, I worked in the private sector as well. I worked in Myer for quite a long time. Mm-hmm. And there used to be an MD in Myer called Kelvin Steele before my time.
Right.
And his reign was called, you know, collectively, his reign of terror. Why was that? Because he used to get his kicks by going down to the floor in the Myer Burke Street store, and he just terrorised a new employee till they cried. You know.
Oh, that's just shocking.
It is, but, you know, it occurs in the forces, the armed forces, endemic bullying.
Yep.
Anywhere where you've got a power structure, you're going to get bullying. Yeah. So you have a power structure at home, you have power structures in schools, and, you know, the larger the employer, I think the higher the risk. You know, so people can be bullied anywhere. A lot of the fathers that you see and get to know, they'll be bullied and they don't want to admit it. It's a shame job, like your child who wet his bed. They don't want to fess up because it looks like they're weak. Particularly men don't like looking weak.
And that brings us back to what you were saying before. If the schools can focus on building up self-esteem and then building up, you know, parents' awareness and, you know, that the lack of attention at home can cause all of these problems, you know, really focus on that, because, you know, that could a simple way to start bringing in some big changes, you know. I know
also, if I think, you know, if they I think teachers need to be trained. They need to be given tools. So teacher training needs to accommodate some of these strategies. But the other thing I think that we can all do is pressure social media channels to manage cyberbullying, because they're making lots of money out of us. They have a lot of metrics. They must be able to easily identify which of their users are susceptible to being bullied by the patterns in their behaviour. And they could easily improve things, I think, substantially. They've got the money, they've got the information, they've got the means. They just need a bit more pressure.
Yeah. Well, it's really is time. It really is time because, you know, the kids, and it's not just about kids at school. It's everybody, and it's actually unacceptable. It really is. It's not okay, and deserve to feel safe. It's their right, and
yeah,
it upsets me a lot.
And the problem with smartphones is they're almost impossible to manage in your children's hands. And that's a great pity. I mean, there was an example that I read in the Australian last weekend that somebody went into a Japanese forest that was renowned for suicides, and they filmed a body hanging from a tree, and it was 10 or 12 days before it was taken down.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, you know, the channels aren't behaving properly and there isn't enough pressure on them.
Oh.
Maybe the best thing that could happen is if Mark Zuckerberg's child was cyberbullied, then he would do something more.
Oh, man. Oh, it's giving me goosebumps, Harry, and it's not in a good way. That's awful. So
we'll have to do something a bit more life-enhancing next time.
But Harry, where do you think they're tackling this sort of issue effectively? Do you know of anywhere? You know, clearly Australia has.
I very occasionally read the Women's Weekly, not very often. Oh dear.
With your slip and a cup of tea and a biscuit doll and your hair in it.
That's right. This weekend I did read it. And who's on the front cover?
Oh yeah, Princess Mary. Yes.
From Tasmania. Yeah. And she has lifted the profile of royalty in Denmark because she's got this awesome attitude of social engagement. She's created a foundation, and one of the main platforms and the main programs of her foundation is called Free of Bullying. And what she's done, rolled out through the schools, and what it focuses on is building group dynamics.
Right. Whoa.
So that, you know, I think that's a fantastic program. We need a program like that here. We need a hero to roll out a program like that here.
Yeah, well, she's our hero.
Yeah. Right. But she's in Denmark.
Someone must know. If she's from Tassie, we're all related somehow.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. So if they can do it there, you can do it anywhere, I think. And so she's working on the children so they understand that it's not okay. You know?
Awesome. I mean, she's got a truckload of kids like myself, so
yeah,
it's an issue for her as a parent.
Yeah.
Oh wow, Harry, that's just awesome. Well, wow. It's a topic that needs to be spoken about more and more. We need to get it out there. Build more awareness and get some more action happening. And as you say, you know, helping the teachers so that they can help the kids. And, you know, helping the parents building up their awareness and, you know, building up kids' self-esteem. Really, really, really important.
The key thing is to look out for those little warning signs like the bedwetting, you know, the withdrawal.
Change of behaviour.
Sadness,
I'd say it was probably 5 days of just getting more and more withdrawn, and then the bedwetting, and thought, something going on here. And you know, they're scared little things because often the bullies are threatening them. But if you say, you know, I'm going to do this and that to your brother or to you, and that's our situation. Horrible.
Yeah.
And it fills your heart as a parent to think your kid's being bullied, and you sort of feel a bit helpless and also guilty that it's come to this situation. And you know, our job as a parent and role is to protect kids and try and give them the sweetest upbringing that we can. And you know, confronted with this sort of stuff early on, okay, it toughens you up, but you wouldn't wish your worst enemy to go through this sort of stuff. It's horrible.
I actually think it damages you. I don't think it toughens you up. I think it's all.
Oh yeah. I was just saying, toughen up a bit. Yeah, definitely. Whoa, Harry. Well, thank you for coming on and chatting about this subject.
Well,
I'm definitely going to make sure my kids watch this, particularly the bit about educating about the risks of the radiation or whatever with technology, because it really is scary, and not so much now, but down the track, what the effects are going to be. You know, years ago when we had the whole men carried their phones around the belt, the mobile phones on their belt, and then they were having reproductive issues, and they started to link, you know, the placement of the phone on the belt near the front, and then move it to the back, and then plugs in the ears. And what are we putting through our bodies? It scares me.
Yeah, well, I'm concerned enough. I've got an anti-radiation device.
Yeah. I've got something on the back of my phone too. But oh, baby, that can be another topic. Just all of radiation, all the effects of it. And
so, I mean, in terms of phones in the bedrooms, you know, one of the good questions to ask is, well, you know, how else could you manage it differently? What would happen if you didn't have your phone in your bedroom? Could you still code?
Yeah.
Given the risks, and how can we develop, you know, a compromise where you stop having it in the bedroom and use it elsewhere?
Definitely, this is another topic for another day, because I really want to get into this. And, you know, make it relevant and real for kids so that they actually get it. They get it rather than just being told, oh, yeah, I know it's bad for you, but actually really feeling. And maybe we can show them some pictures or some sites, some research or something, stats that has some impact for them, because at the moment I'm falling on deaf ears.
Sorry.
Time to go, baby. All right, well, we'll wrap it up there, Harry. Lovely to chat to you. Look forward to chatting again further, darling, and I'd love to pick up on the conversation of electronics and radiation and how we can kids wean themselves off it.
Okay.
Good. All right, darling. Okay, well, we'll chat again soon, sweetheart. See you later. Bye.